Today we're looking at one of the classics, Luigi's Mansion for the GameCube. My history with the series dates back to Dark Moon on the 3DS and playing a little bit of it on the Switch when 3 came out. I had decided for October I would fill my stream schedule with Luigi's Mansion content because I really wanted to check it off my game bucket list, along with all 900 something others. Anyway, the footage you're seeing here was all streamed on the channel, and if you want to check out the streams, I will make a playlist with all of them linked below. Without further ado, let's go! Starting the game, we get a cutscene showing Luigi walking through a dark, dead forest, while he follows a pamphlet that shows a sunny sky and brand new mansion. Looking up, however, we see the ominous, derelict old manor instead. Luigi walks up to the old abode and slowly opens it, peeking inside with a flashlight, and then we get to play as him. The panning around the foyer is amazing, even with how old this game is and how bad the quality this thing streamed in off the original console. It has a certain charm to it. Luigi's movement also feels great when using the original GameCube controller. Pressing A, we can call for Mario, wondering where he is and why none of the doors are opening. After checking a bit, we can see an orange light holding the key, only to drop it in front of the webbed main door. Then it disappears into another set of doors. Taking the key, we can go in and find a parlor room where the orange ghost jumps out at us, but it's interrupted by a tiny old man with a vacuum cleaner. After falling over, the man finally stands back up and introduces himself to Luigi as Professor Egad. He wonders what we're doing as more ghosts appear, so they bravely flee back to the lab. Egad asks Luigi why he was there and finds out that Luigi won the mansion in a contest he never entered. He also says that the mansion didn't even exist before a few days ago. After looking at Luigi for a bit, he remembers seeing someone who looked similar to him, but with a red hat, but he didn't get to talk to him. After he saw the man go in, he never saw him come out. Then the professor comes up with the idea to teach Luigi how to fight the ghosts so that he can find his brother. Then we get a control screen. I won't bother you with what does what until we get to it, but I still think this screen looks pretty neat for just a control screen. Egad sends us to a training room to get some practice in with our new Poltergust 3000, which I was having issues with.
Oh wow, that's a really small window, okay. When that surprise ghost heart appears, vacuuming it with the arbor. Yeah, okay, I get it. Damn! I did that almost instant. Damn, this is fucking difficult. I'm not used to the controls yet. That'll do. How many did you get? 1. My, just 1. Pretty poor.
Yeah, for me, having only ever played Dark Moon and 3, the shorter time you had to freeze a ghost and then suck it up felt really off to me. Even if it isn't actually different, it just took me really long to adjust. I swear these things increased my arthritis more than writing these manifestos of scripts. After proving to the professor that we have enough neurons to use a vacuum, well, poorly in my case, he shows us his gallery. It's pretty empty right now, but it will fill up as we get more ghosts. He also gives us the Game Boy Horror, a Game Boy that allows us to scan things and learn details about whatever is in frame. But after listening to Egad give a lecture on his past with ghost capturing as if it were golf, we go back into the mansion and find Toad crying about Mario and how mad Peach will be if he can't find him. After calming him down, we can use him as a save station, which most loads will function as. We can go back into the parlor now and try to search the dark rooms for coins and hearts to suck up, which, don't ask me how this vacuum can suck up coins and gold bars perfectly fine, but mine dies at a Fruit Loop or Lego piece. They don't make them like they used to, I guess. We can also notice the Game Boy Horror in the bottom right shows our money collected, which will be more important much later on. But using the scan to look at the paintings and candles, we can find that it points us to the ghosts, so we can blow them out with our vacuum and summon a few of them to fight. After sucking up the orange ghouls, a chest will spawn and the room's light turns on. The chest gives us a key for the next room and the light signal that we're pretty much done with the room. So, no more ghosts. Kinda. Walking into the next room, it's the Enter Room, which just sounds like a really pretentious name for a hallway. We can fight the orange ones and a new type, these purple ones. They're taller and pack a meaner punch than the orange guys. After clearing the room and my frustrations through a lot of cursing, we can go to the wardrobe room, which is more of the same. But now we have a new ghost type, the green monkey ghost? This Donkey Kong-ass cunt chucks bananas at you like a monkey slinging shit at children. Not too bad on his own, but in groups, they become a fucking nuisance. They have way more health, and their bananas can trip you up, which takes away your health. Someone in the chat at this point said there is a hidden ghost you can get while trying to beat every room, which I didn't think is the exact truth. I found this little teal guy who's a sneaky little bugger that I couldn't catch. Before we get into the next hallway, Egad contacts us about how he reads energy signatures of stronger ghosts, akin to the ones that escaped his gallery. They aren't as simple as the other ghosts. These guys need to have some special requirement met to either anger them or confuse them so that we can suck them up with the poltergust. Luckily, he says we can use the Game Boy Horror to figure out the methods to see their hearts. Or, at the most, a small hint. Opening the new hall, we can find a trail of coins like breadcrumbs meant for some idiot Hansel lookalike to follow into a trapdoor. I was too smart to fall for that. Well, I got distracted by the ghost mice, so I didn't even notice the coins led to a door. So, just went straight for the first one, skipping the trap. But don't worry, I would hit these trapdoors many times, so that you can see how they work. Opening the study, we can see a mustachioed ghost reading in a rocking chair, haunting that we can't even see him. In the meanwhile, books fly off the shelves to hit us in the face. You need to wait for him to yawn and become visible to quickly snap back and start sucking him up. Once we catch him, we can shake him down for all the pearls, hearts, and coins he drops. All boss ghosts drop a large amount of treasure like this. Pearls are especially annoying because most of the time they're expensive white pearls, but sometimes they're these annoying purple pearls that shrink you down and make it so you can't attack, collect stuff, or get away. But sucking up the father ghost, we can find a new key to the last room in the hallway, at least on this side. This leads us to the room of the mother ghost, who sits in her mirror brushing like she's Vermin Supreme trying to dig the bugs from his brain. For her, we just need to pull back the curtains to let the cold wind in and frizz up her hair. Her vanity is her undoing because it allows us to suck her back into the vacuum just like with her husband. Our next boss ghost is actually their baby, who is no joke compared to them. Baby Chauncey is sleeping in his crib, and we can shake his rocking horse to wake him up as he slings teddy bears at us. We can suck up the bouncy ball and hit him with it. Now you'd think that'd be easy considering how a baby doesn't fare well with a direct hit. So he decides to even the playing field by literally setting us on a playing field of his crib where he becomes a giant. And while viewers thought a good punch would be effective enough, I disagreed just a bit. Now without a hot car to put them in, a very large infant is difficult to beat in a fight. Well, for this matchup at least. So our solution seems to be using my favorite method, a tennis ball launcher. After causing late-stage shaken baby syndrome, we can get a new pink key from a chest, as all babies leave in their loot box. So Professor Egad has us come back to his laboratory. Now we can see his ghost portrification-anizer, which squishes down the ghosts back into paintings to refill his gallery. This is like if Nestle squished down its child laborers into Kit Kat bars. But this concludes the first area. This game is made of 4 total areas. Each one starts us entering, then moving through the mansion and fighting ghosts, and at the end, we turn the ghosts back into paintings. At the end of every painting session with Bob Ross, we can see how much money we collected, which goes to our total that'll be important later. Cool? Cool. Going back into the mansion for Area 2, we can take off the spider webbing using the key we stole from the toddler. The hallways are dangerous because we can run into wild bats, mice, and hobos. The mice and bats can either fly or scurry around if disturbed and end up attacking us. The hobos pop out of the upstairs floorboards and either try to yell boo or drop a bomb. Another ghost we can find are these guys, who can bowl at you to damage you. Not that bad, but still an inconvenience. This is the hallway I started falling for these false doors. Some doors in the house are false, so if you try opening them, you get flung into the wall and hurt. You can tell the difference of the doors in 2 ways. The first is if there is a rug or not. Second, if it pops up on the map as a door or not. Simple as that. Didn't stop me from falling for the same doors multiple times, but they made an attempt to make us feel smart. The next room to head to is the bathroom, where we can find that this room is dark, meaning there's a threat. The 2 ghosts in here are a new type, the grabbers. They sneak up behind you and latch onto your back, and you need to shake them off like in Metal Gear Solid Rising Revengeance with those stupid little grabby ball things. After sending them to the registry, Egad tells us to shake our control stick wildly to get rid of them, and then we can take the key they dropped to another room. This room is the bathroom where we find yet another type of enemy. These little village idiots have masks and pitchforks to avoid being flashed and can swing their fork from a long range. You need to get rid of the dancing duos of diffident duppies to succeed. Wait, that's a real word? After you successfully capture them, the floor starts to rotate as a different tune plays while a dancing couple twirl about. To stun them, you just need to wait for them to appear and turn around fast. Actually, they're surprisingly easy because they aren't separated but rather count as one ghost. After getting the next key, we can find the storeroom behind the ballroom, where we can find crates and a false wall. After pressing a button, we can make the wall go back, revealing a trapdoor. Opening said trapdoor leads to all the Boos, including King Boo, being released throughout the mansion. King Boo controls all the others, but the Boos are in each room. Boos don't need to be stunned, but their health can range from 50 to a few hundred, and there are 50 in total throughout the mansion you need to find. Your Game Boy Horror has a little light that blinks yellow the closer you are to a Boo in a room. It turns red when you're next to them, or when you're next to something that looks like them, and then you need to suck them up. Egad brings us back to the lab to explain how they work, saying that his Game Boy Horror detects a round object like the Boos to find them. This can lead you to finding painted balls, bombs, or actual Boos. If a room is clear of Boos, the light is a teal color. Some requirements in the game actually have you finding certain amounts of Boos to get past certain obstacles, but I won't bore you with me finding every single Boo or all their punny names. Going back into the mansion, we can go through a lot of the previous rooms and find many of the Boos there, and this toad past the wardrobe room I never saw before. We can also find that next to the last bathroom we were in is another one with a toilet and a crying toad. You need to get rid of a bunch of Boos because they were afraid of them. The toad is sad they dropped something in the toilet, but in reassuring them, we can check and find a new key to the fortune teller's room. A room with colored candles and a crystal ball in the center, with Madame Clairvoyant in the center later appearing. You can show her dropped items to get visions from her. This will be important later. Although I didn't use her skills at the right time. We can go into the mirror room through the door on the right wall and find a torch with some ghosts to fight. After sucking them all up, we can find a fire element medal, which means that we can suck up what are called elemental ghosts. Well, the fire ones at least. This game has a basic 3-element system, where there are certain elements that have spirits you can suck up. If you suck up spirits of a certain element with the medal you have, you can use their powers, like for example, throwing fireballs or shooting streams of fire from your vacuum cleaner. All the powers work fundamentally the same, they just affect different things we'll see later. For instance, using the fire element to light up the candles to leave the room. Going back to Madame Clairvoyant's room, we can light up the candles to find a new key that leads to the laundry room. In the hallways before this area, we could see a ghost butler holding a candle wandering the hallways. We'll deal with him in just a few moments. After fighting some ghosts of Jim's sock past, we can find Mario's hat in the dryer and enter the room next to it, the butler's room. In there, we can find a candle with a fire spirit that can refill our meter. In the butler's room is a mouse hole that, when scanned with the Game Boy Horror, allows us to find a hidden treasure room. However, the room's chests are half filled with treasure and half filled with ice-hearted ghosts. These ghosts can't be sucked up until you melt their icy hearts with compassion and love. Or fire. I mean, both work. Now that we've pilfered the treasures, we can light the butler ghost's flame and slowly follow him back to his room, where he tries to extinguish it. In doing so, he becomes vulnerable enough to be vacuumed up like he likely did to the dust before him. Wait, did they even have vacuums in his time? Who cares? This allows us to get a new key to the next ghost, Melody's room. Simply put, Melody is an egotistical snob who thinks she's better than everyone. What you need to do is hit every single instrument in the room to create a chorus that becomes a rendition of the Super Mario theme song. It's actually kind of listen to it slowly build up, a really neat concept. Once you do, she shows herself and says that the piece is charming. Then she plays a piano sonata, and you just need to say what image the composer had when writing it, or which famous game the piece is from. The segment is actually pretty neat because it incorporates old Mario tracks that were pretty nice to hear and try to remember the trivia of. Which song was in which game or which zone? Really neat idea. If you get the answer wrong, she gets upset and goes back to being invisible. You then need to leave the room and go back to reset it, having to play the song all over again. Once you get it right, she has music sheets fly at you. If you suck them up, she gets upset, which allows you to capture her similarly to how she tried to capture the beauty of music. Our next key leads us to the dining room, with this ghost, resembling Fat Bastard and Jack Horner if they did a fusion dance. You can light the candles to summon his waiter and then suck them up. And after that, you can go into the kitchen to the adjacent room to fight flying pots and pans. Once you fight off the culinary equipment, you can get a water medal to suck up water spirits. This allows us to quell the burning door in the corner to go outside. Going outside, there's a boneyard with a ghost dog and a seed in the right garden. The dog will attack you if you get near it, but using some water from sucking up a plant spirit, we can water the seed. According to someone from my chat, watering it once per area allows you to get a bunch of money from it. And boy were they right, but we'll see that later. Now, to beat the one who ate all the apostles, I had a little bit of trouble. At the end of the first stream, I couldn't quite figure it out, but the next stream was where I caved and looked up a walkthrough to help figure out the boss. To beat him, you need to suck up the waiter so that he can't get more food, and then suck up the food before he can eat it. He then starts burping fireballs at Luigi, which makes me question what he was eating. You need to wait for him to get tired, and then we can stun him and suck him into our vacuum. After somehow squishing him in there, we can get a diamond and some other treasures from his treasure chest. Honestly, surprised there wasn't a few Twinkies in there or something. Our next ghost to catch is the dog. In the yard, the dog starts to chase us and bark, which disturbs one of the other inhabitants. A skeleton ghost that, when sucked up, drops a ghost bone that pacifies the dog. We can then suck it up after it gets distracted to send it back to his forever home, the portrait. Once he's in the portrait, we can use our Game Boy Horror to see this little sparkle in the doghouse. Scanning it creates another vortex to suck us in. Doing so, we get sent back to the wall in the graveyard. I was in pretty bad shape at this point. 8 health and a dream were not doing so well, but luckily, some of the graves were hiding a bit of life behind them. Well, and some death, but I just had to suck those guys up, which was a little bit of a challenge, especially when you have 3 bone bros on you. Ignoring the 15-minute interlude of dying, scrounging the house for health like it were pennies, and then refighting the dog and skeletons, we can summon a new ghost into the graveyard. This creepy purple thing, which changes us to a new battlefield similar to the baby. This battle really does display the cool physics and liquid simulations that the GameCube can pull off. But what you need to do is suck up the little black goop monsters and shoot them at the purple one to get him stuck, so that you can Swiffer him up. It's actually a pretty cool fight, and I thought it was really neat, even if it was one of the plainer ones. After beating the purple booger up, we can get a new green key signifying the end of the area. This section gave some interesting ideas and introduced us to 2 of the 3 medals. But right now, I only have 11 out of the 50 boos, so this next section might have me looking for more and seeing some new interesting spots. We have a lot of the mansion left, time to explore. Going back in, we have to make our way to the courtyard, and I just want to say, oh my god, this area sucks. There are new little floating nuances similar to the mice and bats inside that do the same thing outside now. We also see a variant of the white spook ghost who drops a bomb as well as jump scares Luigi. Now yes, this area is pretty, but I just hate it with how this is a major area that we need to walk through so many times. We can find a well that Mario's screams come out of, and climbing down we can peer through a statue's mouth to find a chamber where Mario is stuck in a painting as King Boo admires his treasured portrait plumber. When away from the cutscene, we can also find a white spooker ghost at the bottom of the well that drops a key when you suck him up. The key progresses us to the next door on the other side of the courtyard that leads us back in. There's also a shed in the courtyard with a toad, but we'll talk about him later. The next room is in an indoor gym where a ghostly strongman is lifting weights. To get his attention, we need to punch a bag at him or make it recoil into him to make him mad. He'll then chase us where we need to hit him with another bag to stun him. After sucking him up like he sucks up steroids, we can get some more loot from his chest. The next room, however, is far more infuriating. It's just a staircase with a door to the left. That door cannot be opened. This is super infuriating because if you want to get to other rooms, you need to go all the way around through the courtyard to get anywhere. It's just really irritating because it makes it getting from point A to point B more infuriating. Going upstairs, there's a door blocked by fire that we can put out with a water burst and find some grabby ghosts inside. Defeating them, we can see a chest on a table, but we can't open it. To get it, we need to stand on this little circle in the corner that reverses gravity and allows you to walk onto the ceiling. Then you need to step on another dot on the ceiling there to get back down and land on the table, granting us an ice medal. This medal allows us to suck up ice spirits to use, completing the aforementioned trifecta. Fire beats ice, ice freezes water, and water quells fire. Our first use of ice is going to the shower on this floor and finding a ghost still using it. Chilling the water, we can distract her to stun and suck her up. After doing so, we can get a key to a new room downstairs. However, there are also some new nuisances that I didn't mention. In the upstairs floor, there are these little red spikes that if they get sucked up or attached to your vacuum, they will explode, causing quite a bit of damage. So going down all the way around, we can make our way to the hallway with the other bathroom to a new floor. In the courtyard, while making my way to the new room, I stumbled across the outhouse where a toad says that Mario dropped 5 items that we'll need to find throughout the mansion. This is really weird too, considering that he had his gloves and hat on in the painting, but they're missing around the house. Must be his extras from Mini Mario form. Our next room this time is the billiards room, where a ghost walks around the table shooting 3 billiard balls that always come back to the table. If we suck them up and throw them at him, we can stun him long enough to get him in the vacuum. After capturing him, we can get another diamond and open the door on the left into a projection room. After fighting off some grabber guys, we can get Mario's gloves. At this point, I went back to water the flower and make it grow. It looks like a nice giant poppy, so kinda cool. After getting stuck for a bit and just boo hunting, I finally figured out that the next room was Nana's room, where we need to tip over the yarn balls while she's knitting. This makes her angry, and you need to quickly hit her with yarn balls to stun her long enough to capture her. Beating her gets you the key to the twins room. This room has twin ghosts in it that you need to figure out how to irritate to get to fight them. When you're inside, you need to stand under the ceiling fixture and spin it by sucking it with the vacuum and walking in circles. Spinning them fast enough will spawn the twin ghost boys. The two wonder what Luigi is doing and ask to play. I agreed to play with them, and they play hide and seek, so that you need to wait outside while they hide. When you get back in, you can find a bunch of boxes. If you get it wrong, you need to restart the room. However, if you shake the boxes with your vacuum, you can tell if they're in it or not. If the box doesn't move, they're not in it, but if the box shakes, they are. They randomize to different boxes every time, so you can't really cheese it without luck. The boys get mad you found them, so they attack you for accused cheating. The one in the blue shirt drives a small car to run into you, while the red one flies a plane to drop bombs on you. I swear, I'm fighting a 6-year-old Nile Red or something. The other annoying part about the fight is that while you're trying to capture them, they have a chance of dropping a purple pearl, and if you hit it, or even accidentally walk into it, then you become tiny and can easily die from the twins' hits. At one point when fighting them, I got sidetracked and walked into the study to find that you can actually pick books off the shelf and read them. Not the biggest thing, but a neat little detail. After beating up 2 children, you can get Mario's shoes. The next room on our way through is on the 2nd floor. This room is the Astral Room. Going on a mini side tangent, the Japanese name of the Reminiscence Room sounds way cooler. But anyway, the room is liminal horror. This room is a liminal horror. The room is 2 doors with a center that is circled by candles. If we try going through the door on the right, it just repeats infinitely. Going left, we lead the room back to the hall. Using the fire metal, we can light the candles to summon a few ghosts to fight. After beating them up, we can make our way to the right to find the next room, the observatory. In the observatory, we can look through a telescope and see the beautiful cutscene, showing the night sky and moon. Then we transition to a broken observatory, where we see the moon nearby. Shooting stars fall from space above can be sucked into the vacuum and shot at the moon. Once we do so, we can see a starlight path go into an island with Mario's star floating upon it. After this, we have 4 out of the 5 of Mario's items. Luckily, there is Mario's letter in a birdhouse in the courtyard, so now we have all of them. Then we have Madame Clairvoyant to look at the items to give her readings from them. Now, you can do this beforehand and not wait until the actual last moment, but I did. After she reads all the items, she's willing to let you capture her to return her to a painting. Weird, she says she wants to go back, but she's still annoying to suck up, but oh well. However, the key we get from beating her gets us to a whole new level. It's the 3rd floor, okay? Going up to the 3rd floor, we can open the door to the safari room. There's a ghost with a water core that I kinda just walked past into the next hallway. All the doors are locked, and trying to go down the hallway leads to being blocked by a boo, claiming that the power of 20 boos prevents us from being able to move forward. You heard the man, or Spectre. Scour the mansion for 20 boos and come back to get through. However, the door is still locked. So I have to go all the way down to the 2nd floor and get an ice power to beat up the water ghost in the safari room, of which multiple other ghosts like the banana sluggers come out. But beating them, we get a key for the end of the hallway. Going outside, we end up in a terrace with plants and statues. Oh, and a clan meeting on the left. After disturbing the meeting between the Council of Yahoos, a real term within the KKK, they form into the Grand Cyclops, another real KKK term, and we have to fight them. This fight actually took me a while to figure out how it works. The unicorn statues on the terrace have turned to ice, where we can use the ice metal to fill that meter. We can then maneuver around the statue to pop the giant boo into multiple tiny boos. We need to freeze the boos and then suck them up during the popped cycle to lessen the size of the big boo, which then makes it a little bit harder to pop the big one. After beating the giant, we can get a new blue key, signifying the end of the area. After pressing ghosts like Biff the Bodybuilder into a protein shake pulp for paintings, we can re-enter the Poltergeist Palace. I first, of course, wanted the flower, getting most of the more valuable gems in the game. A golden diamond, which will be important later. Going to the roof, we can find the next door the key unlocks. But a problem arises when powerful bolts of lightning strike the house, cutting the electricity. Egad tells us we need to go all the way to the basement, switch the breaker. The issue is that the ghosts become bigger issues in the dark by spawning more and becoming more aggressive. We can enter the hallway and find a new room, the telephone room, where we can answer some ringing phones to hear that the toads are afraid of the dark and that Egad knows of a ghost that we can only catch in the dark. Uncle Grimy is a ghost who is cautious and only likes complete darkness, and likes mirrors, so we can find him in the wardrobe room. Once we beat him, we can find a key to a new room and then make our way down to the basement breaker to turn the lights back on. In the breaker, there is also another key to the room across from the breaker in the basement. Going to that room, we can bust some ghosts and clean some dust in a storage room. At the end of the hall is a door, leading to where Mario was being held, but we can't get in because King Boo, who at first mistook us for escaped Mario, can send us back to the foyer because too many Boos are left. So, back upstairs for us. So, I don't know how I missed it, but in the cellar room, you need to beat the ghosts in there to get a key we'll use in just a moment. But going back to the telephone room, we can open chests that spawn skeleton ghosts. Beating them, we can get some money, but using the key from the cellar, we can get the real boss ghosts, or bosses. The ghost toy soldiers in the clockwork room look really neat, and the design of the room in general looks great. This one is just really aesthetically pleasing. To proc them, you need to hit the clocks in the room so that they play a loud tune from the game's soundtrack. Then the soldiers start to march. The toy soldiers have wind-up keys and muskets. The muskets can punch out and hit Luigi, causing damage. But if you suck the keys to wind them up, you can then start sucking them into the vacuum. This is relatively easy, but can become difficult with 3 of them targeting you. I'll be honest, once you defeat these ghosts, however, you don't get a chest. Rather, you can go up to the roof through their clock display. We can find some Shy Guy masks dancing around, but skipping them, I look to the right terrace to go into a sealed room to find a bunch of treasure. To get out of it, though, I needed to use the mirror to go back to the foyer, meaning I had to go all the way around and just get back to the clock room. Next, I went to the tea room, which requires Luigi to light the candles to summon some ghosts to fight. But finishing the tea room, we can go to the right and enter a guest's room, which has a ghost girl sleeping on the bed, which is upside down, as well as the rest of the room and its furnishings. For this ghost, we need to use the water power-up to splash into their face and wake up. This will let us capture them and gain us a chest on the ceiling. Well, leaving the room and re-entering will flip the room back so that we can open the chest. It only gives us a diamond, but going back to the roof, we can fight the shy ghosts and some other ghosts that appear after them. Beating them spawns a chest on the left roof pillar, giving us access to the next room on the 3rd floor. Going in, it's a room full of knightly armor standing at attention. Some of them are rigged to hit you if you get too close, but you need to capture all the ghosts to get a new key to the basement room. However, while fighting a Boo in this room, I realized that the second door wasn't actually locked. Inside is a room full of jars, and a red ghost popping out of one. He offers to play a game with his collection, where he will pop out and you need to freeze him 7 times. Doing so, you can stun and capture him, getting us another diamond from the chest. But going to the basement, we can find the pipe room. An ectoplasmic acid lake splits the room, and we can clear the ghosts and freeze the green goo to go past this waterfall and find a key to the last room in the basement. The next boss is arguably the one that I had the most trouble with. So this is the freezer, and in the corner is a ghost frozen in ice, with the rest of the room being frozen with fallen ice spikes, an icy floor, and a small fire burner. Using the burner to get a fire power, we can start melting the ghost Popsicle, who is effectively a ghost evoker. He sends out a stream of icicles similar to the evoker's mouth spikes, and has things falling from the sky to attack you. Once we beat the Frozen Ice Explorer, we can get the key to a new room on the 3rd floor. Vincent Van Gogh, one of our last portrait ghosts to take on, and it is not the easiest fight. Well, depending on how good you are. Van Gogh wants to show us the mastery of portraying life within art. Every painting in his room has a ghost on it. When he triggers the first one, it summons multiple ghosts of the type portrayed. You need to beat all of them in a line, which was especially annoying on the banana flingers, but once you defeat them, Van Gogh says that his work will live on. but then gets surprised saying how only one is still alive. I don't know if this means I missed one, because I don't think I did based on the wiki, but it might mean something that's flown over my head. Probably something about King Boo or the painting behind him. This allows us to capture the ghostly painter and get the key to King Boo's dungeon. Now I then decided to try and get all the boos, and when I walked into the last room with 49 out of 50, thought King Boo was the last one. Apparently not. I don't know which one I missed, but oh well, on to the last battle. Walking into the dungeon, we see King Boo admiring his trapped Mario portrait, and then looks at us, and decides that he should make a Luigi duplicate as well. King Boo then shapes the dungeon to change the painting to Bowser, and sucks Luigi into an arena world that looks like the mansion's roof. This is the final fight of the game, and has King Boo possessing a giant Bowser. He has 3-man attacks, throwing spike balls, trying to suck up Luigi, and spitting fire. I don't know a rap song or Scatman John song that wouldn't get copyrighted, so just pretend that Scatman is playing or something. You need to avoid the fire and suck up the spike balls to throw at Bowser. Doing so knocks off Bowser's head, and King Boo pops out. This is when we can start trying to capture the king. But while we do that, Bowser's head floats around trying to freeze Luigi to get King Boo back into its body. Once he is, the Bowser head twists back on. Sometimes it will twist backwards, and he'll chase Luigi in a mini blind rampage. This fight took me quite a few times to figure out, but after beating him, it felt amazing. Yeah, it's a kid's game from 2001, so what? But beating King Boo allows us to get Mario's painting back to the lab and turn him back into our brother, while reportrifying the other ghosts. With that, I bring up the very last aspect of the game I've been teasing for a while. The money. At the end of the credits, it tells us that EGAD was so grateful to Luigi for helping that after catching all the ghosts, he used the money Luigi found to build him a new mansion. The amount of money you collect correlates to what mansion you get, ranks A to F. I got smack dab in the middle, C. Not bad, but there's room for improvement. And with that, we finished Luigi's Mansion. I just loved this game. Luigi's Mansion is an amazing step in the GameCube's history, being the game that really defined the controller with how it was built, for better or for worse. The game makes use of all the new aspects of the GameCube. The visuals in this game, and yes, I know it doesn't really look that good with my footage because of my recording software, but it was really nice on a 720p monitor. The game has great design, and as unintuitive as the controls felt at first, I blame that on me being a keyboard and mouse player. Starting with the controls, I think they were running out of ideas considering that pretty much the whole time, A served as a shout for Mario button. I think that the control scheme was still really interesting, but it took me a while to adjust. Next, the sound design. The music in Luigi's Mansion is great. I personally think it has stood the test of time considering how many times I've heard Luigi's Mansion soundtrack in the background of videos or memes. Its soundtrack, mixed with ominous and funky beats, gives an interesting sound to a lot of the different areas and melodies. And speaking of design, I just have to go on about the level design. This is something I think that is pretty undeniable, that this game has pretty good game design. If you go to my streams, you may notice I needed walkthroughs quite a few times, but it actually wasn't that bad. And I'm a dumbass. But the levels are all really interesting. Almost every room is entirely unique, and themed, having little secrets strewn about. I didn't even mention all the secrets of this game, like the golden mice or the secret gems hidden in random spots that can get you more money to be able to get the higher ranked mansions. The progression of this game in 4 areas that serve to send you through the mansion allows you to get better and better as the enemies get more numerous and complicated. The first area has only a few portrait ghosts, and introduce us to the story and mechanics that would come to define later ghosts, rooms, and fights. The buildup of this game is done so well, because I got over that initial learning curve of the poltergeist pretty easily. It really became simple to understand the rest of the game. Using more and more techniques and puzzles to cleverly utilize the poltergeist also made it never feel stale or too repetitive. Yes, you're doing the same thing in each battle, but there's some gimmick or interesting requirement you need to figure out the room. The Game Boy Horror working as your tip guide was also nice because it allows you to point at everything and ask, is this important? what's this thing? Or why is it doing that? And it lets the player feel like they can figure it out. I think not every hint was as good as it could have been. However, I'm also kind of dumb. I tried to rely on them, but they were a nice assist that I didn't often use because a walkthrough was simpler for the monkey brain to follow. But my monkey brain also loved the art that it was seeing on every screen. I love the art direction of this game, including the ghosts. While the environments are great for a spooky mansion, I will say I wasn't as favorable to the whole backtracking thing. Why you couldn't open the other door to traverse the mansion easier made me a bit upset, and I felt like it was just padding the game to make it feel longer and to make you explore more. Which is kinda cool, but I really did not enjoy going through the hazardous courtyard and winding floor just to go into one room, then have to go all the way back. That, I will say, was probably my least favorite thing in the game, design-wise. Another thing that also surprised me is that I enjoyed the designs of the ghosts a lot more than I thought I would, which I was surprised considering how at first I really didn't like them. My first Luigi's Mansion experience was Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon on the 3DS, so I got used to their designs on that version, and the nostalgia makes me prefer the higher saturation and brightness of those ones. But I will say, on a 720p screen, the ghost designs are actually really fitting in the environment, and I ended up loving the designs of the portrait ghosts and the green banana ghosts. Honestly, I don't know how else I can even gush about this game. I've already said how I love the artistic direction, level design, the innovation, the history. There's so much outside of the game that is still great to me. This has been a game I wanted to play for such a long time, since I got a GameCube, and it did not disappoint. The game was great for its time, and I'd say it's aged quite well. Definitely better than the other games I've tried to play. I have far less critiques for this game than I do with other games I've reviewed so far. Wow, shocker, he likes a game from a big company that's been making video games for decades, but really, I feel like Luigi's Mansion on the GameCube tried to utilize the system to its fullest potential, and really shone through as a weird and different experience than Nintendo would normally try and develop. I mean, yeah, it's still a family-friendly Mario IP game, but it has a lot of interesting aspects that I think is different from a lot of the other games that they were trying to create at the time. But weird isn't bad. Sometimes something new can create something amazing. Clearly seen as the game has flourished with sequels, it's just great. My opinion on Super Mario Sunshine is not as high as its brother's game, but that's a story for when I finish that game. Speaking of, check out the live tab on my channel where I stream games on Saturdays and sometimes Sundays. I recommend coming into the chat so that we can liven up the streams, because it was fun to stream this game while I was recording it. If you also enjoy this channel, then join my Discord server, which will be linked in the description below. I'm trying to create a nice community, and I also show off teasers, sneak peeks, and plans for future videos while setting up polls to make decisions like what to stream or what ideas to go for next. I know that was a lot, but I hope we can build this into something enjoyable. But that's enough from me. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. It's been me, Moosh. Comments, criticism, and suggestions are always welcome, and I will see you later. Arrivederci.